Hey guys, welcome back to the DrCliffAuD vlog. This is vlog number 156, and today I'm going to be answering some more of your questions, but quickly I want to give you an update of what we just got done doing yesterday. So we had what we call a filming day inside of our clinic, and really what we wanted to do is we wanted to have some professional photographers and videographers come into the clinic and just kind of capture in really high quality footage us kind of doing what we do with our patients inside of the clinic all day. So we got a ton of great footage with it that we're going to be able to use on our new website. We're going to be updating the appliedhearingaz.com website with all this new imagery, and we're going to be able to take a lot of this imagery and use it in a lot of other different social media posts and other projects that we're working on a daily basis. So I'm super excited about it. It was really expensive to have that done, but it was totally worth it if you ask me, given that we try to provide a really high-end level feel inside of our clinic, and I think that this will actually make our website have more of the same type of feel that you get when you come in to our actual clinic. So I'm excited to share some of that footage with you guys. I'll probably be kind of trickling some of that content out over the course, like the behind the scenes stuff side of it, over the course of the next week or two in some different YouTube shorts and on Instagram and stuff like that. So make sure that you stay tuned to those social media channels. Now, before I get into the actual questions that you guys have, if you could do me a huge favor, click that like button. It really helps out my channel, as you know. And if you're not yet subscribed to the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button with notification bell as well. That'll make sure that you never miss any of my newly released videos. All right, so let's go ahead and jump in to the questions for this week, and I'm going to start with question number 1, which is from Ryaz. I have 30% loss in an ear, and doctor suggested me to go for Phonak RIC rechargeable aid. Are Phonaks good? Thank you for your response in advance. All right, so this is almost impossible to answer. Just the blanket question of, are Phonak hearing aids good? The answer is yes, they're fantastic hearing aids, but it all really comes down to how good your hearing care professional is at fitting and programming Phonak devices. Now, if Phonak is the major brand that they work with, and those are the ones that they're most familiar with, chances are they'll get the most out of them for you. Does it mean it's the best hearing aid for you? Who knows? There's literally a variety of other things that you may need from a different type of hearing aid. I typically spend about 2 hours with any new patient who comes into my clinic trying to decide what devices are best for them and how we should fit them with those devices based on all of the information that I get from them. So really, having a 30% hearing loss in one ear, it's really hard to know what you mean by 30%. Does that mean that your thresholds are 30%, like 30 decibels below normal? Does that mean that your word recognition score is at 70% instead of 100%? Like, does that have anything to do with your speech and noise capabilities? Like, I have no idea really what 30% hearing loss in one ear means. Chances are, if you have a hearing care professional who's following comprehensive best practices and then they recommended a Phonak rechargeable hearing aid to you, chances are that is the best hearing aid for you. Absent of me knowing all of that information, it's really hard for me to give you a solid recommendation or a thumbs up as to whether or not the Phonak hearing aids specifically are the right ones for you. All right, this naturally transitions nicely into this next question that is also about Phonak hearing aids. This one is from Yvonne Thomas. Why is there a refrigerator hum with a Phonak hearing aid? So a refrigerator hum is something that you could perceive with any hearing aid, not just a Phonak hearing aid. In fact, Phonak hearing aids tend to be one of the better ones when it comes to reducing the perception of a refrigerator hum or a fan hum or an engine noise hum or any type of steady state noise that you're talking about. Now, typically speaking, a refrigerator hum will be at a very soft level, which means that you have probably a significant amount of compression for soft level sounds, boosting up these soft level steady state noises with the amplification that you're using. So what you typically want to do is increase expansion. What expansion does is it takes these soft level sounds and pushes them back out of your audible range if it's driving you crazy. That being said, I would recommend that you try to get used to that, because when you start using expansion, you're basically taking away audibility for certain soft level sounds that you may need in certain scenarios, like soft level speech, for instance. So you just got to be careful of, trying to get rid of things that you don't want and keeping things that you do want at the same time. And this really comes down to the experience level of your hearing care professional. If they really know what they're doing, they'll be able to make that Phonak hearing aid function the way that you want it, assuming you have a high enough technology level. If you're in a very low level Phonak hearing aid, your ability to adjust the different sounds that you're hearing and sounds that you don't want to hear comes down to the adjustment capabilities of those particular devices. So if you went with a really low technology level, you may have handcuffed your hearing care professional to a degree which may prevent them from making those hearing aids function the way that you want them, and ultimately getting rid of the refrigerator hum. All right, let's go ahead and jump into our third question. This is one about noise-induced hearing loss. Nick S. asked, do people with noise-induced hearing loss usually wear hearing aids for a long time? What's the average amount of time that people with noise-induced hearing loss usually stay with hearing aids until they may need to switch to implants? I mean, this again depends on the degree to which you sustain noise-induced hearing loss. If you have noise-induced hearing loss that is so bad that your word recognition ability has dropped down dramatically, then you may need to go in for implants right away. I would say that the vast majority, though, of individuals who have noise-induced hearing loss all use hearing aids and use them successfully. If we were to discuss what is actually the cause of noise-induced hearing loss, obviously it's the noise exposure, but what this does is it damages the outer hair cells inside of your cochlea, which is your hearing organ. When you damage the outer hair cells, typically a hearing aid is suitable enough to replace the missing vibration due to the loss of these hair cells, and then as long as your inner hair cells are healthy enough, it will take this increased vibration created by the hearing aids and transfer sound cleanly up to your brain so you can understand what you're hearing. However, if your noise-induced hearing loss in combination also with the damage of inner hair cells is really bad, and your word recognition ability, your word recognition scores are below a certain percentage, then you may need to go in for cochlear implants or a cochlear implant depending on what your insurance coverage is. Chances are, if you're not having success with hearing aids or you're worried about your long-term success with hearing aids, it really comes down to whether or not you're optimizing the performance of those particular devices. But what I would say is that the vast majority of patients that I have with noise-induced hearing loss, all of them, for the most part, wear hearing aids and have worn hearing aids for a very long period of time. Of course, there are some that eventually progress into needing cochlear implants, but that is on a very specific individualized basis. What I would say is this: depending on your age and the severity of your thresholds, of your hearing loss, for your hearing loss thresholds, I would look at that, but I would also look at your word recognition scores. If your word recognition scores are still really high, even with a substantial noise-induced hearing loss, then I would say the chances of you needing a cochlear implant at some point near in the future is very unlikely. All right, now this last question that I'm going to be answering here has to do with cross treatment. Now, if you don't know what cross treatment is, basically it's when you take sound from a bad functioning ear and cross that sound over to a better functioning ear so you can actually understand sounds that are coming from your bad side. That is if this bad ear is rendered no longer effective. So let's jump right into the question. This one is from Prabhakar Kumar. Sorry if I butchered your name. Sir, my left ear is totally normal, but right ear has 75 decibels of severe sensorineural hearing loss. Now which hearing aid should I go, Cros or traditional hearing aid? I'm confused as one audiologist advised to go for Cros, while the other has advised for traditional hearing aid. Which would be better for me? Please advise. Well, if I'm being honest, the answer could possibly be both are right. So again, it has a lot to do with what your word recognition score is. Let's say that you have a 75 decibel hearing loss in your worst ear, and in this particular case, your right ear. If you are not able to actually amplify sound enough to overcome that 75 decibels and still clearly understand what you're hearing, then you may need to go with cross treatment. Now, the way that you would identify this is you would look at your word recognition score in your worst ear. If that score is a very low percentage, let's say it's at like 20%, well, even if you amplify sound in that worst ear, you're not going to understand a whole lot of what you're actually hearing. It'll be louder, it just won't be clear. And in that particular case, yeah, you want to cross that sound over to your better hearing ear so you can understand any sound from that side of your head at a much higher level of accuracy. However, if you have a 75 decibel loss and you still have a word recognition score of 75%, what that means is that if you amplify sound in that worst ear up to your full prescription, you're going to be understanding roughly 75% of the speech information that's coming in that side in a quiet situation. And I would say that that's a good amount of speech information that you would want to have. Now, you might be somewhere in the middle. Let's say that you have that 75 decibel loss, but you have a 50% word recognition score. Well, it's not low enough to where you want to give up on that ear maybe, but it's not high enough to where you would just do fine with a hearing aid in that ear only. You might want to do something called amp cross, which is where you're amplifying sound in your bad ear and you're crossing it over to the other side so your better hearing ear can help you out even more. So it really just depends on what your specific scores are. It also might have to do with a variety of other factors of what you actually want to accomplish. And if you are not clear on what your goals are with each one of your hearing care professionals, they may have given you a different recommendation based on what they got out of you. But that is the main job of a hearing care professional, is to dig in enough to identify what things are important to you so they can make the proper recommendation. But really, this comes down to what your hearing ability is currently in that worse ear, really what the hearing ability is in your better ear as well, and it might even open you up to other treatment options like a cochlear implant for that bad ear or a bone-anchored hearing aid for that bad side as well. Like, there's a whole variety of different treatments, and I think I've mentioned, what, like 5? Already, you've got cochlear implant, you've got bone-anchored hearing aid, you have a hearing aid in that bad ear, you have a cross transmitter in that ear. Yeah, so 4 at least at that point. So it really just depends. I mean, I know that this is probably not very helpful to you, but the complexity of how to determine which one is right for you really requires a ton of time and understanding as to what you're going through. In absence of the full understanding of this, it's really impossible to answer this question at a really high level. All right, guys, there you go. I answered 4 questions this week. Now, I want to discuss something here with you really quick before I end this video. I'm very close to launching a new project that I've been working on, and there's a high probability that the time that will take for me to work on that project and create additional video content for this other project may take away from my time to do these vlog videos. Now, I know that I alluded to the idea of maybe stop doing the vlog, or maybe doing the vlog one time a month or something like that, or just on occasion whenever I have time to do one. But I think that there's potential that I stop doing these vlogs. Now, I've tried to kind of go more the Q&A route here earlier in the year. It doesn't really seem like a whole lot of people are interested in this particular type of format, and people were not necessarily that interested in my other types of vlogs that I was doing where I was just kind of explaining what's been going on. So I need to kind of figure out really what I want to do with this time to make it more productive and more helpful for you guys if you're trying to figure out what to do, when it comes down to treating your hearing loss. So if you have any ideas of what you would like this vlog to become, or if you're like, you know what, maybe the vlog has kind of run its course, it's been 156 videos so far, so be it, I would not be offended. But just let me know what you think down in the comments section, guys. I'll probably keep it going here a little bit longer, but until then, I'll see you next week.